What would you say is arguably one of the most important factors when it comes to the long-term value of your real estate investment? My answer is the health of the local economy. You want an economy that is robust, very diverse, and has the income of the average person to support the affordability of the homes. I think the diversity of the area and of the different types of sectors in that area cannot be overstated in their importance. For example, if you look at what happened with Detroit when they were so reliant on the American car makers, and it was a thriving economy for many years, and then things started to shift, and eventually the car makers had to do a ton of layoffs, and Detroit and the surrounding area really suffered because they so heavily relied on the automobile industry. If you're making any type of real estate investment, you really want to look at all of the different sectors and industries and businesses that make up that local economy. Here in Charleston, we have a super diverse economy. And in today's video, I wanted to share with you 5 big economic developments that are happening in Charleston in the next 10 to 20 years. This is not an exhaustive list, but I wanted to capture some of the headlines that I found the most interesting and just some of the projects that have been in the works for quite a long time that have to do with housing and other urban development centers. Now, as a disclaimer, like anything else, there are pros and cons and good and bad to just about everything. So I'm not here to say that these changes are exclusively good and that they're only going to help people, because there's always things to consider about things like traffic and infrastructure and existing homeowners and gentrification and all of these super important topics. My purpose today is really just be an objective reporter giving you data and information to do with what you will. So please don't kill the messenger if you don't agree with these projects or think that they're terrible. I'm just a realtor trying to give you up-to-date news and information. So I hope that you find this video educational and informative. By the way, I'm Sarah Newman. I'm a realtor and team leader here with the Elevate team at eXp Realty. And our team loves helping people just like you make their smooth move to Charleston. And we can also help you with all of your selling needs as well. So whether you want to buy a home or list a home, we would love to help and earn your business. All of our contact information is pinned below, so you can find that in the description and in the comments if you'd like to reach out and discuss how we could partner. The first project I want to share today is called Magnolia, and this is on the peninsula. The peninsula is what we call downtown. There's upper and lower. Lower is more where you've probably visited before. It's Rainbow Row and the French Quarter and the most southern part of downtown where the market is and Waterfront Park. The upper peninsula is more neighborhoods and a lot of super cool, less well-known areas by tourists. You have places like Hampton Park and Wagner Terrace. But then there's this area even further up that's called the Neck. It's only about 10 minutes to downtown historic Charleston. And the particular area that we're discussing for this Magnolia project is a 189-acre area between the Ashley River and the King Street extension. This property is comprised of former industrial sites that had to be consolidated and cleaned up due to industrial contamination. The ground was teemed with toxins because for decades the site was home to old world fertilizer makers, a wood treatment plant, and other heavy industrial businesses that left behind a hazardous mix of contaminants from lead to arsenic to creosote. The EPA placed the site on the dreaded Superfund National Priority List in 1994 and issued its first remediation plan later that year. The grunt work that followed included replacing tens of thousands of tons of soil, groundwater test, rebuilding drainages, restoring tidal marsh, and encapsulating portions of the tract. It was a lengthy remediation journey, and numerous public and private sectors had to collaborate in order to make this happen. Just think about everything that has to go in to a toxic-filled land site in order to make it healthy and developable again. In fact, this mixed-use Magnolia redevelopment project was first conceived of over 22 years ago. The first effort failed, so the current developer stepped in around 2017. Last year, the EPA gave Magnolia developers Highland Resources Inc. an award for excellence in land reuse. This is really an amazing redevelopment and cleanup. There was even this infamous incident in the 1990s where a bait shrimper in that section of the Ashley River harvested a catch of crustaceans with a distinct orange glow that later started to spontaneously combust in the cooler. They had consumed so much phosphorus that they were phospholuminescent. So a lot of these materials are known carcinogens, and I am just super grateful personally that we at least have that out of our soils and water. Okay, so now you're probably wondering what's going into this $2 billion vibrant master plan community here in Magnolia. They're planning 4,080 apartments and condos, and they're planning to have at least 15% of this housing as dedicated workforce housing. There'll be 1.2 million square feet of commercial space, 200,000 square feet of retail, a minimum of 25 acres of green space, including a half-mile stretch of public riverfront access and a small marina, plus 1,040 hotel rooms across 3 to 4 different hotels. This project is estimated to increase the population by 10,000 people. There's still a tremendous amount of infrastructure work that needs to go in before they can start going vertical, meaning they actually start building these structures. For example, they still need to cut the roads and finish the sewer systems, but they're anticipating the first construction to begin in 2025. It's projected to be 2027 when the first businesses and residents can move in. Just looking at these renderings, it really doesn't remind me of any other part of Charleston. It's just a very different urban feel from what we can tell in these depictions, so it'll be really interesting to see how this project comes to life over the coming years. The second upcoming development is the Long Savannah project in West Ashley. This has been over 20 years in the making and should be coming to life here pretty soon. This is going to be a total of 3,000 acres off of Bees Ferry Road next to the current Grand Bees subdivision. There will be 1,200 acres developed into 10 different neighborhoods, 9 residential, plus 1 urban center. Charleston County will also have an option to add an elementary school and a fire station, plus there are some talks about building a YMCA as well. The rest of the acreage will be put into conservation, forming 2 different parks, a city park and a county park. One of the developers said that the property was a timber tract when they purchased it, so there's miles and miles of logging roads, which they plan to convert a significant amount of these into a trail network that may even possibly adjoin to adjacent neighborhoods. Pulte has committed to building at least 557 homes in Long Savannah, and Mungo has committed to 800. The specific subdivisions are still waiting for approval from the city, so I have no more information than that, but you know that I will be sharing it with you as soon as anything else is released. I'm guessing that the aesthetic will be similar to Nexton or Carolina Bay. Those have been successful neighborhoods, and people just love that Charleston style home and neighborhoods that integrate with nature and have conveniences. But other than what I've already shared here, there's no other information that has been publicly released, so we're just going to have to wait and see what aesthetic and vibe the developers are planning for. The main entry point into this master plan community will be the Long Savannah Parkway, a future road that is an extension of the current Glen McConnell Parkway. The road will connect the neighborhood to the West Ashley Circle. Speaking of West Ashley, that brings us to our third development, which is also in West Ashley, called Ashley Landing. The Charleston City Council recently approved Ashley Landing, which is a 35-acre site on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard, where it meets Old Town Road and Sumar Street. This area used to be a Piggly Wiggly grocery store, and now the $345 million redevelopment plan will include a 4 to 5 story apartment complex with 325 units, 100 townhomes, 230,000 square feet of retail and commercial space, 6 acres of green space, and infrastructure improvements. Mayor Cogswell said that Ashley Crossing will include a lot of national and local retail, incredible amounts of parks and open space, and stormwater retention that is long overdue. The city will be investing $44 million into the project, which includes $13 million for these stormwater upgrades, which will likely involve an underground cistern that is able to capture storm water and then gradually release it over time. Other amounts include $4.7 million for parks and green space, and $9.6 million for improvements to streets and public rights-of-way. The rest of the funds are coming from Eden, who is the developer on this project. I also read in an article that there's a $10 million commitment to affordable housing. I'm not sure what that looks like. I don't know if it's the townhomes or the apartments or both, so time will tell. Now, the very final approval is still needed in a few weeks from City Council, but it's expected to move forward and should be complete by 2028. If you want to learn more about the West Ashley area, check out this video all about the pros and cons of West Ashley. The fourth economic development project we're going to talk about today is Union Pier downtown. This sits along the Charleston Harbor between Concord and Lawrence Street near the city's historic district. It was built on former marshland and for centuries was home to maritime commerce, passenger travel, storage, shipbuilding, and international trade. It was also a significant port where enslaved people first landed in North America. It's currently owned by the State Ports Authority. It was announced back in March of 2024 that billionaire and philanthropist Ben Navarro would purchase Union Pier. Now, the financial terms of this agreement won't be released until the deal closes, which hasn't happened yet, so we don't know the details, and the plans are still up in the air for what's going to happen to this part of downtown. But no matter what the plans are, it's going to be a huge change. Right now, the 65 prime waterfront acres of downtown property can only be seen through a chain link fence topped with barbed wire. It's filled with warehouses and concrete parking lots. Now, previously, a different developer had plans for a mixed-use space with retail and commercial and condos, along with some green spaces and parks and waterfront access, but it drew fierce opposition from local residents and conservation groups. It was this argument with lots of hearings for quite some time, and so the plans were scrapped. So we really don't know what's going to happen once this deal closes and what Union Pier is going to be. One thing we do know for sure is that there will be no more Carnival cruises leaving from this terminal. So for the last few years, we've had Carnival cruises going to the Caribbean from Union Pier. And a couple of years ago, they announced that 2024 would be the last year that they would be running the cruises. Now there's rumors that the cruises may just go to a different port somewhere else around town. I haven't heard anything about that yet either, so we'll see what happens there. The State Ports Agency is also spending $1.6 million to stabilize and preserve the Bennett Rice Mill facade at Union Pier. The 19th century facade is one of the nation's few surviving examples of Palladian industrial architecture. Preservationists have advocated for including the structure as a centerpiece of a public park or civic space in future development plans. Charleston had 3 such mills in the heyday of low-country rice culture in the 19th century, and the other 2 survive intact, albeit with alterations, at the Coast Guard Station on Trad Street and at Safe Harbor off Lockwood Drive. Experts say neither of them is anywhere near as architecturally ambitious as the Bennett Rice Mill, which features extensive sculptural brickwork. So, what's the future of Union Pier? It's really anybody's guess. I think a lot of locals would agree that they'd love some kind of waterfront access. There's really only certain parts of downtown that have waterfront access, so it'd be really nice. There's also currently debate among politicians about creating a TIF, which is a type of funding strategy called tax increment financing, which can oftentimes help spur development. However, there are also risks because it leaves taxpayers on the hooks if the promised developments don't happen and don't follow suit. So again, this is all being debated, and at the time of this recording, there has been no definitive agreements or solutions about how Union Pier is moving forward, but it'll be super interesting to find out. The fifth and final large economic development that we're talking about today is called the Navy Yard in North Charleston. This is a 70-acre area next to Riverfront Park in North Charleston, which was once a thriving naval base that closed in 1996. Now it's being transformed into a thriving mixed-use urban center called the Navy Yard Charleston. There will be 1.2 million square feet total, including residences, office spaces, green spaces, shopping and dining areas, an outdoor events venue, and a concert hall. Though the Navy Yard Charleston will have extensive renovations, The developer has promised and made a commitment to preserve the area's local character, architectural detail, and history, while still bringing these new amenities to the area. The development team is also committed to supporting the local economy and plans to establish a neighborhood employment program to help stimulate economic growth. The program will reserve project-specific positions for local residents living in the neighborhood and have a training program that helps job seekers strengthen their skills. The Navy Yard lies just outside of the Park Circle area. If you'd like to learn more about HIP Park Circle, check out this video all about the pros and cons of Park Circle. I hope you enjoyed today's video, featured more on current events and news stories and economic updates. If you did, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more videos like this. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you can be the first one to know about all things Charleston. If you love learning about Charleston, I also do a free weekly newsletter every Thursday that has current events, upcoming events happening around town, and everything you can imagine all about Charleston. So the link is in the description where you can sign up for that. I get feedback all the time from my clients and people who are on the newsletter list saying that they find it super valuable and love learning about what's going on in the area. Once again, if my team and I can support you with your real estate needs here in Charleston, whether you want to buy or sell, please reach out. You can find all of our information in the comments and in the description as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.